What if I told you that one of the most epic stories ever told was really all about a single promise? It's like this golden thread weaving its way through thousands of years of history, connecting kings and prophets and entire nations. Well, today, we're going to follow that thread together and see exactly where it leads.
But first, here's a puzzle for you. In a story this massive, spanning millennia, why in the world would the main character, the hero, wait until the final act to show up? I mean, that's a pretty strange way to tell a story. Unless, of course, the build-up is the story.
And that's the whole secret. The entire story is the preparation. Every law, every battle, every prophecy, they aren't just random events. No, each one is a piece of a map carefully paving the way for one specific person. So, come on, let's start following that map right from the very beginning.
So, where do we start? Well, funny enough, our story kicks off with a pretty broken beginning. See, right here in the very first pages, we run into a problem so big, so fundamental, that it's going to take a world-changing promise to fix it.
That big problem, of course, is the fall of humanity. But here's what's so wild. In the exact same moment of failure, the very first promise is given. Theologians have a fancy name for it, the Proto-Evangelium, which just means the first gospel, or the first good news. And it's this cryptic but super powerful clue. A future offspring is going to come and crush the serpent's head, defeating evil right at its source. And just like that, the first knot in our golden thread is tied.
Okay, so a promise has been made, but it's kind of huge and abstract, right? It's for all of humanity. To make it real, the story has to zoom in. The promise needs to find a home, a family. It's like the camera of history starts to focus all its attention on just one man.
And that man is Abraham. God makes this incredible three-part covenant with him. First, a promise of land. Second, a nation of descendants so vast they'd be like the stars in the sky. And then there's the third part, and this one is absolutely crucial for our story, a promise of blessing for the entire world.
I mean, the verse itself says it all. In you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. This is so important. The Savior's going to come from Abraham's line, but he's meant for everyone. The promise was always universal in scope.
So, fast forward a few hundred years, Abraham's family has exploded into the nation of Israel. But, a nation needs a blueprint, right? They need laws, a structure. They need to know what their purpose is. And they're about to get their instructions on top of a mountain.
This is where Moses comes in. The nation receives the law, and it does two brilliant things at once. On one hand, it's a perfect standard that shows them how holy and righteous God is. But on the other hand, it's like a perfect mirror. It shows humanity that, well, they can't possibly live up to that standard. The law doesn't save them. It shows them exactly why they need a savior in the first place.
Which of course leads to the massive, unavoidable question. If the law only points out the problem, what on earth is the solution? What's the next piece of this puzzle?
And the answer doesn't come in another set of rules. Nope, this time it arrives in a new leader. The promise is about to get a serious upgrade. It's about to become royal.
That golden thread we've been following, it now leads directly to Israel's greatest king, David. God promises him that one of his own descendants will sit on the throne and establish a kingdom that will last forever. And right there, from that moment on, the Savior we've been waiting for gets a brand new title, the Son of David.
But wait a minute. Earthly kingdoms fall, right? Things go wrong. So what happens when this kingdom fails, when the nation is conquered and sent into exile? Does the promise just die? Not a chance. Instead, new voices rise up out of the chaos, the prophets, and they keep pointing to a future that lies beyond the ruins.
During these really dark times, prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah had this powerful two-part message. First, a stark warning of judgment because the nation had failed. But then, they painted these unbelievably vivid pictures of hope. They talked about a righteous branch coming from David's line, and, get this, a suffering servant who would bring redemption not through power, but through his own sacrifice.
All right, so after centuries of promises and prophecies, almost all the pieces are finally on the board. The story is now entering its last phase of preparation. It is time to set the final stage. After the exile, figures like Ezra and Nehemiah get to work preserving the faith of the people. It's like a massive stage crew for the biggest show in history.
They're rebuilding the temple, putting the law back at the center of everything. They are meticulously preparing the set, making sure the religious and cultural environment is perfectly ready for the star of the show to finally make his entrance.
So let's just pause for a second and connect all these dots, because it's pretty incredible when you see it all laid out. Each major stage reveals another crucial piece of the puzzle. Adam's failure shows us the need for salvation. Abraham reveals its universal scope. It's for everyone. Moses gives us the model of what God's holiness looks like. David reveals the Savior's identity as a king. And finally, the prophets reveal the method, that he would be a suffering servant.
You see, this one single golden thread woven through patriarchs and lawgivers and kings, it all points to one person. The ultimate fulfillment of every single one of these promises, the one who is the true Adam, the one who would finally succeed where the first one failed.
The true Moses, the ultimate lawgiver, who wouldn't just bring the law on stone tablets, but would write a new covenant on the human heart.
And of course, the true Son of David, the eternal king whose kingdom would have no end and no earthly borders.
And when you look at it that way, it's the ultimate takeaway. The entire Old Testament, all of its history, its law, its poetry and prophecy, it's really just one long epic prologue. It was all just setting the stage. So the only question left is, are you ready to read the main story?